Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market, man. We started off looking like all good and everything, and then, just took a tumble, didn't we? It was kind of a mess. But, we're going to get into all that with the charts and stuff because some of the ones I talked about yesterday, well, kind of played out that way today, right? And so, some of the things we got to look at, what drives markets? What's one of them, right? Sentiment. So that came out today, and it's amazing how time can change, or how it can change very quickly, actually, right? And then we're going to a couple other things that kind of surprising to me. One of them I'm kind of looking into now for us because if you know anything about it, let me know. But it could definitely affect markets for sure. But looking at sentiment, look at this right here. Now all of a sudden, February 8th, 25% bearish. When you looked at 9/21/2022, right, wasn't that long ago, 61% bearish. Isn't that amazing? I mean, the bulls are finally outnumbering the bears 37.5 to 25 now. You see a historical average is around 31%, so beating that. So it's amazing what time can do. And just January 25th, we were at 28.4%. Now all of a sudden we spiked to 37.5%, right? And as I mentioned yesterday, AI stocks been going up. This came out today on these big tech companies' earnings calls. Just look at this right here. I mean, look at that spike on the mentions of AI. And it's kind of weird because, AI has been around forever and stuff. But, but now all of a sudden, oh, look, AI, it's like it's a new thing or something when it's not. And this is the one, I guess in a way it's not confusing, but it's interesting to say the least. But this is percentage of banks reporting that they're willing to make consumer loans, right? And you can see it's negative, right? It's been negative for a little while now. And it always has these periods where it goes down for a long period of time. And the market will still go up. It's just when it gets negative, that's when you actually take a look at it. Because when I looked at the times when it's actually negative and what was going on in the market, it was never a good thing. I mean, it was during the dot-com bubble, financial crisis, 2020. And you can see over the years, it rarely goes negative, right? But when it does, there's a big move down in the market. And so, of course, we're still in negative, which is kind of strange. I don't know why they're holding on to the money, but when this does go negative, because what happens is it's taking liquidity out of the market, right? If they're not putting these loans out there to consumers and stuff. And so that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. I don't think it's a big deal right now, personally. But, we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. And, of course, then that leads us into the charts, right, in the market. And we started off, man, like I told the members in the morning news brief, we gapped up. And I was surprised, like, wow, okay, what's going on? Where's the news at here? I didn't really see any news that was going to, push the markets up that high that fast. And you would have thought somebody said something, CPI data come out, which comes out next week. Something had happened, but I didn't really see anything that would make sense of this move, and understand what I tell you yesterday. I'm just waiting to see when, short covering starts to come, slow down and, dip buyers maybe aren't buying the dip so much or whatever. And, we get to see what this market really is going on. And I want to see that trend line tested. I want to see the support line from the double top tested. Well, guess what? We got to see it tested today. And you can see, obviously, here we move up, boom, we end up, we thought we were going to come past this trend line. Nope, we get back above it. And then, of course, we end up closing below it. And then not only that, at the same time, end up with that double top support line, right? And when you look, it just gave it up fast. As soon as it broke that trend line, it was like a rocket ship straight down. We tried to hold the support line, that double top right there, around 4,100. It tried coming back above it, could not, failed miserably, and then broke through as well. And then, of course, dip buyers came in at the end, about the last hour of the day, and started buying up and stuff. And then we pull out the larger view again. We can see, obviously, you got your MACD at the bottom down there. It looks like it wants to roll over. We'll see if it actually continues, if we continue down from this. But, of course, if it does, if the MACD does roll over, then, yeah, you could absolutely see some continuation down. And, of course, everybody and their mother is going to be looking and going, oh, my God, here we go. Bear market's back intact. We're going to break back through and go back into the channel and all that fun stuff, right? And so, you'll see a lot of that. Whether that happens or not, we'll have to see. Because usually when you get this 8 and 21 moving average that rolls over like this, if it does cross, which I don't think it did today, if it does, then we'll have to see what happens, okay? And then we look at the Qs. The Qs don't look anywhere near as bad as the S&P to me, but, it could just be me. But you can see this one, it did break that trend line right there, barely, and it's trying to come up retest it now, but it did not break that support line right there, which technically I'm not going to call it support because it hadn't even come down and retested it again yet. But we'll see what happens when it does. And there's a reason for this, and real quick, you can see the RSI finally cooled off. It was overbought. You can see the MACD looks like it wants to roll over. And then looking at the shorter term time frame, you can see right here it came down, tried to test that trend line, broke back down. And at the end of the day, again, dip buyers come in, trying to push it back up. to retest it, see if it can break back through it again. And the reason why I think the S&P looks worse just because of what was happening today, right? You had some oil stocks selling off, some actually going up, right? More importantly, though, you had all the bank stocks look like hot garbage today. And then you also had the travel stocks look like garbage. And you're not going to find a lot of those on the Qs, right? And so that's why they were almost pretty much even today. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that like and think about sharing the video, guys. And of course, then a lot of the stocks on the Qs, Gravity was finally able to go ahead and pull them back down from overbought. Because again, we'll be coming this week like 2,200 stocks in overbought territory, some of them way up. And then of course, what we talked about yesterday, what was the poster child for this? And it was Meta, right? And I told you the bears and the short sellers will be absolutely waiting at that gap line right there. And of course, you see it broke down, took on the shorter time frame, through the trend line right here, through the support line right here. This is where it actually gapped up to on earnings. It tried to hold it. It was like, come on, come on. And of course, the short seller was like, come on, push it through, you know. And I don't know. I mean, this is a huge gap. I can't imagine if this whole thing would fill. But, you know, I can definitely see it. That's for sure. But if it does, it's going to be epic because I think it's like a 13% move still left if it actually fills the whole gap. And again, 90% of gaps fill eventually. I think a lot of those just because of crashes and everything else. But, you know, and then, of course, you know, look at Meta right here. What else you got going on? If you're looking to average into a stock, I can't give you financial advice, but I would say this. Me personally, I would not do it if I see an RSI like that. You can wait. It will come down. Gravity will catch hold of every stock it has throughout history, and it always will. Again, whether or not it fills that gap, who knows? We'll have to see. That's for big money to decide. Now, we'll say this, looking at the calls that are expiring tomorrow. Again, we're sitting in the 170s, I believe it is. You got 190, 200 calls. Not really sure if I would want to pay those out. Then you got the 170, 180s. We're down below 180 now. You want to pay the 170s out? We'll have to see. So if you see it put on the brakes around the 170 area or even go back up tomorrow some, you know why. Just saying. And then, of course, Tesla. Ooh, boy, Tesla. And what I tell you yesterday, I said, Tesla, if it breaks 200, then you got a clear shot to 210. Now, did I expect to blast through 210? Not really. I thought it would turn over. That's why I had that alert right there because I was getting ready to buy puts like crazy as soon as it approached it. But then, of course, thank God I didn't because, at the moment at least, and I'm talking about ODTE puts, that is, because it blasted right through it and it just stayed there almost all day. I think 214.50 was the high, I believe it was, wasn't it? And then at the end of the day, it finally sold off below 210. But, you know, this right here was a rocket ship. And you can see, again, right here, guys, look at this RSI. Eventually, this will come home to roost. Eventually, gravity will take effect, just like it did on Meta, just like it does on every stock. It cannot live in overbought territory forever. And the MACD, though, still doesn't look like it's rolling over yet. And again, you know, looking at tomorrow, you see what's expiring here, right? I told you, this is why I said there's a clear run. All of a sudden, you get past the 200 wall, and you got the 210 wall. I thought it would stop at 210. But it did not. But again, we're below 210 again. These are expiring tomorrow, so I assume most people sold those. But of course, no surprise there. And that's just one tool I like to use and stuff. And you know, usually you'll see these ranges set for it. And another thing Tesla also had the advantage of, it was hitting a volume gap, and it flew right through it. That's why you saw it move up so fast in the morning. And then, of course, it hit a volume shelf, and it kind of just traded sideways. And then, of course, the market rolled over at the end of the day. And so it's not immune to that, right? But really, a lot of people just say, I mean, people are still shorting Tesla, and hey, hopefully it works out for them eventually. But you know, I think shorts are still being squeezed in Tesla for sure. They call it a gamma squeeze. If that's happening, great. But you know, for me, my whole thing when I'm looking at this market, I just want to see what market we're in. When all this crazy short selling of size, and it's one thing you're seeing is, what are you starting to see? A lot of stocks coming way down fast, right? A lot of these stocks that had no business being up where they were at, they're coming down fast. When the meme craze goes away, and you're starting to see a lot of that happening right now, whether or not they'll continue, we'll see. But over an extended period of time, like a 30-day period, you go, what kind of short covering are we seeing? What kind of meme stock mania are we seeing? What kind of these stocks that have no business being up, way up like this, or come crashing down? That's when you get to see what kind of market we're in. The sentiment is good. The liquidity is good right now, even though it has been coming down over the last probably 20 days or whatever it is. And so if you see a small pullback, wouldn't be a surprise. But we get to see if we can reclaim that, you know, double top, which was support, now going to be resistance, or not. That's what we're going to have to look at, right? And so, you know, we'll see right now. I'm not, again, I know as soon as people see this sell, they go, oh, here we go, going back into the bear market. And it's just like when you see a big pump, like, here we go back in the bull market. And I'm like, just put yourself in the middle. Let the bears do what they do. Let the bulls do what they do. Use the data, figure it out for yourself, but be patient. One day does not make a market. Okay, that's just the way it is. One day's move up or down doesn't make a market. All right. And when it comes to, you know, tomorrow, earnings, wouldn't even worry about that. But when it comes to economic data, we do have, obviously, consumer sentiment, which I just mentioned, by the way. And then you're going to have inflation expectations, and then another FOMC member will come out there and try to tear the market down again by saying the same old, we're going to continue to raise rates, be data-driven, got to get inflation under control, we're not seeing it in service sectors yet, blah, blah, blah. That kind of fun stuff, right? Another thing that happened today was jobless claims, right? Came in higher than expected. And the market's like, yes, more people filed more jobless claims. This is great. More people wasn't working, you know. And so it's amazing how we keep reacting to all these reports or whatever. But, you know, I guess that was short-lived, as you can see by the stock chart. So let me know in the comments what you think and stuff. What number do you think Tesla is going to? Do you think Meta will close the gap or partially close the gap? Is a big one to look at and stuff. And did you play either one? I guess be a better question. And what do you see going in the market for, let's say, the next week? That's a big one to look into, okay? So anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of it. Really appreciate it. Share the video if you can. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you tomorrow.